last season, and they had false confessions that were taped, and then the officers would leave the room, and the tape would go off, and then the tape would come back on, which is unheard of. In other words, we don't really know if anybody left the room. We just know there wasn't a tape that continued. Do you know what I mean? In other words, it was on and off and on and off. So they were literally editing what they wanted the kids to say, and we didn't see the full confession.
They don't do video these days on confessing, do they?
No, they might. They could. It depends on the state and the circumstance, and there's so many. You don't know when you're going to get a confession or if you're going to get a confession, and every particular case is individual. It's like a person. It has its own life. It has its own set of circumstances. You can't say blanketly it's this way or that way. But I know in the Chicago case, in which the little town, the suburb is called Dixmoor. In that case, with Dixmoor five boys wound up spending their whole youth and young adulthood in prison for something they didn't do. Those confessions were not tape recorded. They were extracted via lighting. So there is no recording.
Really
so you have.
Yeah, they do that.
That if you confess, you can go home?
Yeah,
Yep.
That makes sense.
They do it all the time, actually.
Yep.
Because what the kids don't realize, some of them, that they're not supposed to talk because they're minor unless they have a parent present.
Right, and they don't understand that, and they're not told that. And that's the problem, is that I mean, obviously now things are a little more sophisticated, but not when you're 13, 14, 15 years old, and you're being accused of murder, and you're being told your other buddies in the other room, and he's already told us you did it, and now you're being badgered for hours and hours by police.
Aren't they supposed to call the parents?
Well, those are good questions to ask. That's why why I did this show, because there's a real issue with particularly Cook County.
They violate their constitutional rights?
That would be the case.
I got a question for you. Being that you're an activist in a lot of ways, with Chicago, with the black on black crime, and the fact that Chicago has the most strictest gun laws in the country, and yet there's more people killed in Chicago with guns than ever before. To black on black crime, as most of it is. How can we stop that? Isn't it related to the fact that the education problem there is bad? More than 50% of the people in Chicago that go to school drop out.
So there's all of that. I mean, of course, it's all related and it's intertwined. And, I've done work with gang members in South Central LA. In the course of my career, I've lived in LA for most of my life, and only recently moved to the East Coast. These kids that are young and on streets, they're not thinking about the fact that they're cannibalizing themselves or each other. They don't think they're the same or on the same team. They've joined the Crips. They've joined the Bloods. It's all about proving your manhood and craziness. I mean, just ludicrous. And then drugs get involved, and then turfs are involved, and then egos are involved, and hot tempers, and you've got hormonal young teenagers that are outraged with maybe their inability to have power in the world because they don't see a future for themselves. And a gun is very powerful, and violence is very powerful, and that's what they turn to. How can we stop it? I wish I had the answer, because I've been trying to answer that for 25 years, and it seems to just only get worse, not better. So
They could change